Hi, it's Courtney. Welcome back to my channel Phyrra, where it's spooky season. So today's video is a Morticia Addams makeup and costume tutorial. Everything that I use is going to be listed in the description box down below. However, I want to encourage you to also shop your stash to recreate this look, because really you just need like 3 eyeshadows. You need a taupe, you need a black, you need a silver foil. Oh, I lie, actually you need 4. And you need like a skin tone shade color to help blend it out. If you're interested in seeing how to transform yourself into Morticia Addams, which is one of my favorite looks, just keep watching. I've already applied my eyeshadow primer and set it with setting powder. And I'm going to take the shade Punked, which is this taupe color from the Smashbox trio here. And I'm using a small fluffy brush, and I'm going to build this color up in my crease. Well, I'm going to create a crease on my hooded eyes since I don't really have a crease, I just have like extra skin. And this is the perfect sort of color to contour my eyes for fair skin. And as I'm building this up through the crease, I'm basically blending my brush in little circles as I move through the crease backwards and forwards. I am bringing this color almost all the way up to where my eyebrow is, because I don't have a lot of space between like where the fold of my eye is and my eyebrows, so I'm trying to make the most use of that space that I can. Now I'm going to work along the lower lid with the same taupe color, and I'm using a small pencil brush, and I'm going to connect it back here in a minute, but before I do that I want to work the color all the way along the lower lid. Okay, now I'm going to basically follow the shape of my lower lash line to extend this part of the look out and fill in this space with the taupe color. Basically, I guess for the outer, probably like the outer quarter of the eyes, I'm filling it in with that taupe. I'm going to take a clean Sigma E25 and just further blend just to make sure everything's nice and soft. If you don't like how the blend looks, what you can do is taking a clean fluffy brush, go back with a little bit of a skin tone shade powder, like I use Cozzette Beauty's C1, and just make sure that the edges are nicely diffused in the crease. I recommend basically taking your brush and blending in little circles as you move forwards and backwards. So next we're going to take the Silva color in this trio, which I think this color is called Rock Icon, and we're going to put this on the center lid. I'm actually applying this dry rather than wet, but you could totally apply this wet if you wanted. I feel like this is a really beautiful silver foil, and that makes it appropriate for Halloween. Nice and bright and shiny. And I'm basically just using this brush to sort of shape along the underside of where I put the silver so that it makes my eyes look nice and big and open. And then I'm going to put a little bit of the silver at the inner part of the lower lid. So I'm going to take the black shade in the trio, which is just called Blackout. Using my smallest, fluffiest brush, this is a Sigma E36, I'm going to pop this right here in the outer corner and start blending. I am going to blend it over the outer corner of the eye to make this like the darkest section. And a tiny little bit at the outer lower lid, just a little bit right here. And I'm going to go back with my Sigma E25 and softly blend. Now if you're like me and you feel like you need a little bit more black in that corner, I'm going to go back and just pat on a little bit more black on like the outer 1/4 of my lid. And I'm going back with whatever's left on this brush with the taupe color and just sort of softly blending right here at the upper part of my crease that I created on my hooded eyes. If you're not happy with how the bottom of your eyeshadow looks, or if you need to shape it or clean up fallout, just grab like a makeup wipe and use that. I used to use tape, and this is a lot more gentle on my skin if just using a makeup wipe. It sort of helps to make sure that this shape is going to work with my hooded eyes, because not every eyeshadow shape works on hooded eyes. Now I'm going to throw on a bit of mascara. This is the Milk Makeup Kush mascara, and then I'm going to put on lashes, but I find it's easiest if I put on mascara first, then go in for lashes. So I'm going to put on my Velour Would I Lie lashes. People often ask me what are the best lashes, and honestly it's going to be based on your eye shape and your personal preference. I hate trimming my lashes, so the Velour Would I Lie lashes are no trim, and they're easy for me to apply, and they look good on my hooded eyes, so I feel like that's what I should continue to use. For the longest time, I used the Ardell Demi Wispies. They're a really nice lash. They're very inexpensive, but I got tired of cutting them down. Now, I put my lashes on and I just tight lined my upper and lower waterline. What that means is I took a pencil and I put it underneath and I closed my eyes and made sure that basically both of my waterlines are covered in black so that it sort of makes my lashes blend better. If you're having problems with your lashes blending, you can always also like basically line as thinly as possible with a liquid liner. So I'm going to do that right now. This is the Tarte liquid liner. I'm going to use my favorite primer. This is the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer, and this helps your makeup to last all night. It's great, especially if you have dry skin like mine, because it's hydrating, and so it helps to create like a perfectly smooth canvas, but it grips your makeup and keeps it locked into place. Now, I have a whole lot of surface redness from my rosacea, which you probably can see today. So once I put this on, I have to leave it for about 60 seconds because you want it to dry completely. And once it's dried completely, I can go into my foundation and the rest of the routine for Morticia. And I'm going to use the Milk Makeup Flex Foundation Stick in the shade Porcelain. I find it's best to basically take my brush, run it across the top, and then buff it into my skin. If you're concerned about it messing up your eye makeup, switch to a smaller brush when you go close to the eyes. The brush I'm going to use is actually this Kat Von D brush. I don't recommend Kat Von D. I believe that Sigma has a brush that's similar in shape to this because it's kind of like triangle shaped, but it does a really good job of getting around the eyes. So I'm pretty certain if you go to Sigma's website and look for like 3D brushes, they have a brush similar to this that I would recommend. Now, I'm naturally very fair complected, so I'm just using my own natural foundation shade, but if you're somebody who wants to go lighter for your look, you can try to go like 1 to 2 steps lighter to get that sort of ashy pale thing, but I really don't feel like it's necessary. I feel like you could just go with whatever your normal skin tone is to recreate your Morticia look and it'll be fine. I've been super into foundation sticks lately because of how they let you customize your coverage. So I can get like a nice thin layer and it's going to work for my skin and I don't feel like I have a ton of makeup on and it's cakey. Now, I do feel like when you look at Morticia, she is contoured to the gods. So what I'm going to use to contour my cheeks is Rituel de Fille's Intuition. This is my perfect contour shade for fair skin. Oh my God, is it amazing. It's basically like this gray shade that has a touch of taupe and a touch of like lavender to it. And I don't know, it's perfection on my skin tone. So what I'm going to do to contour is basically suck in my cheeks a little bit, and there's a line that runs from my ear under my cheekbone, and I'm just going to follow that line with this brush. And this is a brush that is by Eden Minerals for contouring. It's very different than most of the brushes I've seen in the US, and I think it's actually perfect for the job. Now, this is very, very bold. I'm not going to keep it this bold. I'm going to blend it out by grabbing another Dunce brush. This is actually another Eden brush, and just start buffing the edges of this. So you can see I still have the contour, but it's not quite as harsh. If at any point you don't like how it looks, you went down too far or anything like that, just go back to your stick foundation and use that to clean up any mistakes. Now you can also go right here to create a little bit of shadow by the temple and the eyes, and then blend that out. And if you really, really want to go extreme, you can also do along your jawline. Now, Morticia doesn't really have any blush, as I mentioned, so what I'm going to do instead is use Black Moon's Squid, which is like their white highlighter. Ofra Glazed Donut would be perfect for this too. And just make myself glow like a midnight pearl. Or like I had bathed in moonlight. What I also want to do is take my Cozzette powder in C1, which is my skin tone shade powder, and just set under the eyes and around the nose. Now I am going to groom my brows a little bit. I'm going to use Milk Makeup's Kush Brow Gel in the shade Cypher. This is like their deep cool tone shade. I personally like it whenever Morticia has bright red lips, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to use the Melt Pencil in Ambrosia to outline my lips. And then I'm going to put on my favorite bright red lipstick, which is Black Moon Cosmetics Sanguis. Now, it doesn't really matter if your hair is straight or wavy. You can, as long as you part it down the middle, because there have been so many different different incarnations of Morticia, and one she has wavy hair parted down the middle, the other she has straight hair parted down the middle. Either way, it's going to look great. I'm gonna add a tiny bit more illumination to my face with the Revolution Pro Skin Finish and Luminescence, this stuff. I just wanna make sure I look like I'm glowing. I'm adding a little bit more of Black Moon Squid right under the eyebrows. Now I'm gonna zoom in so you can see the finished eye look up close. The finished makeup look up close. And I'm going to switch so you can see my costume. This is just a dress that I found on Amazon from California Costumes. There are tons and tons of awesome black dresses out there that you can buy. I just thought I would conclude one that's really easy and affordable and accessible for everyone. So yeah, I mean, you may have a black dress in your closet that may be your better choice. If I was just going to shop my closet, I would probably wear my ruched dress from Marstay and then like the bell sleeve top that I have. If you're curious about what that looks like, I'm going to insert a link up here so you can go check out my 11 ways to style this dress because it's such an awesome capsule wardrobe staple for me. But yeah, I love Morticia Addams and Wednesday Addams. I love those looks. That is who I aspire to be with my aesthetic. I feel like they are very classy and very like the epitome of like classy goth. So yeah. And this is a great costume for groups. So if you have a husband that likes to get dressed up, he can get dressed up and be Gomez with you. If you have family members, they can do it. If you have kids, it'd be cute to do it with your kids. It's just a really great costume. So let me know your thoughts on this tutorial in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share. If you didn't like this video, hit the thumbs down and tell me why. What can I do to improve? If you're wondering what to watch next, check over here because I'm going to tell you to check out my Medusa tutorial, which I think is pretty awesome. However, if you are a cool toned eyeshadow lover, you should absolutely check out my Lime Crime Venus Immortalis tutorial because that would be great. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.